The conference room smells like old coffee and fear, and I'm contributing to both. My notepad is covered in shorthand that I'll never be able to read later because my hand won't stop shaking, and the ceramic mug in front of me has gone cold twice while I've pretended to drink from it. Across the table, Detective Morrison is walking me through crime scene photos I specifically requested not to see, but journalism doesn't care about my weak stomach. The images are spread across the mahogany surface like a grotesque deck of cards, blood spatter patterns, bullet trajectories, the kind of violence that leaves stains on more than just floors. This is my 6th meeting with NYPD about the Caruso family, and I still can't quite believe I'm the reporter who got clearance to write the exposé that 3 senior journalists turned down. They called it a death sentence with a byline. I called it the story that would make my career. Now, sitting here looking at what Cristiano Caruso's people did to the last man who crossed them, I'm starting to think death sentence might have been the more accurate description. "Ms. Harper, are you listening?" Morrison's voice cuts through my spiral. I blink, refocus. "Yes, sorry, you were saying the victim was found in Red Hook." "Victim?" Morrison laughs, but there's no humor in it. "Jimmy, the rat Delgado, was about as much a victim as a rabid dog is a victim when it gets put down. He was skimming from Caruso's poker operations, 200 grand over 6 months. And for that, he deserved this?" I gesture at the photos, at the image of a man who no longer has a face. "Deserved?" Morrison leans back and his chair creaks. He's been a detective for 23 years, and it shows in the permanent exhaustion carved into his features. Nobody deserves that. But in their world, there are rules. Break them, and this is what happens. Caruso doesn't make examples often, but when he does, he makes sure everyone pays attention. I write that down, even though my editor will probably cut it. Too sympathetic to the mob perspective. But I'm not here to write propaganda for either side. I'm here to write the truth, and the truth is complicated. The truth is that Cristiano Caruso runs half of Brooklyn's waterfront, controls union contracts worth hundreds of millions, and has never spent a single night in jail despite the NYPD knowing exactly what he does. The truth is also that in the neighborhoods he controls, violent crime is down 40%, local businesses thrive under his protection, and people speak his name with more reverence than they do the mayor's. "I need to talk to him," I say. Morrison actually chokes on his coffee. "Excuse me?" "Cristiano Caruso, I need an interview." "Absolutely not. No, that's not happening. I'm writing this story with or without his perspective. Wouldn't you rather it be accurate?" "I'd rather you be alive." Morrison starts gathering the photos, shoving them back into their folder with more force than necessary. "You know what happens to reporters who get too close to the Caruso family? 3 years ago, Vincent Park from the Times started digging into their waste management contracts. He ended up leaving journalism entirely, moved to Montana, won't even answer emails about why. 2 years before that, a freelancer named Sarah Chen tried to infiltrate one of their front businesses. She disappeared for 3 days, turned up fine physically but wouldn't say a word about where she'd been. Quit the story immediately. Those reporters got warnings, I point out, which means Caruso doesn't just kill journalists on sight. He evaluates threats. I'm not a threat, I'm a storyteller. There's a difference. You're naive is what you are. But Morrison's already pulling out his phone, scrolling through contacts with the resigned air of a man who knows he's about to make a terrible decision. "I have a guy. He's not connected, but he knows people who are. I can get word to Caruso's people that you want a conversation, but Sloan..." He looks up and his eyes are serious. "If they say yes, you go in wired, you go with backup nearby, and you follow every safety protocol we establish. Understood?" I should agree. I should let the NYPD wrap me in their safety net and play by their rules. But I've been a journalist for 8 years, and I've learned that the best stories come from the moments when you step outside the prescribed boundaries, when you take the risk that everyone else is too afraid to take. "Understood," I lie. 3 days later, I'm standing outside Lombardi's in Little Italy at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday, and I'm not wired. I'm not wearing a tracker. I didn't tell Morrison or my editor or my roommate where I'm going because all of them would have tried to stop me. The restaurant glows warm and golden in the October darkness, and through the windows I can see couples eating pasta, families celebrating birthdays, a completely normal Italian restaurant scene that would be believable if I didn't know that Lombardi's is wholly owned by Caruso Enterprises and that the private dining room in the back has hosted more criminal conspiracies than the Godfather trilogy. My phone buzzes. It's my editor. "Where's your draft?" I type back, "Need 2 more days. Chasing a lead." The response is immediate. "What lead? You're not doing anything stupid, right?" I don't answer, mostly because I'm absolutely doing something stupid, and I'm doing it in a leather jacket that's too thin for the weather, and boots that seemed professional in my apartment, but now feel wildly inadequate for whatever's about to happen. The door opens before I can knock. The man who answers is not Cristiano Caruso. I've seen enough surveillance photos to know what he looks like. This man is younger, maybe late 20s, with the kind of build that comes from practical violence rather than gym memberships. His suit is expensive but not flashy, and his eyes do a 3-second assessment of me that feels invasive even though he never moves. "Sloane Harper?" His voice is pure Brooklyn. "That's me." "You alone?" "Yes." "Armed?" "No." You understand that if you're lying about either of those things, this conversation ends badly for you? My mouth is dry. "I understand." He steps aside. "Then come in. Mr. Caruso is expecting you." The restaurant is louder inside. Conversations in Italian and English, the clatter of plates, Dean Martin crooning from hidden speakers. We don't go toward the dining room. Instead, the man leads me down a narrow hallway lined with framed photographs of the restaurant's history, the original owners in the 1950s, various politicians and celebrities who've eaten here, a carefully curated image of legitimacy. At the end of the hall is a door marked private. He knocks twice, waits, then opens it. The room is smaller than I expected. Round table, 6 chairs, wine-colored wallpaper, and a chandelier that's probably older than I am. And sitting at the table, reviewing what looks like architectural plans, is Cristiano Caruso. The photographs don't do him justice. That's the first thought I have, which is wildly inappropriate given that this man has ordered executions. But it's still true. He's younger than I expected, late 30s, maybe 40, with dark hair that's just starting to gray at the temples and the kind of bone structure that fashion photographers would kill for. He's wearing a navy suit with no tie, white shirt open at the collar, and when he looks up at the sound of the door, his eyes are the color of espresso and just as sharp. "Ms. Harper." He doesn't stand. "You're punctual. I appreciate that." "Mr. Caruso." I'm pleased my voice doesn't shake. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." "I didn't agree to anything. You sent word through channels that you wanted to talk. I'm curious." He gestures to the chair across from him. "Sit." It's not a request. I sit. The man who brought me here positions himself by the door, hands clasped in front of him, and suddenly I'm very aware that I'm in a locked room with 2 men who could make me disappear and no one would ever know what happened. Morrison was right. This was stupid. But I'm here now. Cristiano slides the architectural plans to the side and folds his hands on the table. His hands are what I notice next. Broad, with old scars across the knuckles, the hands of someone who's done violence personally, rather than just ordered it. He wears a single ring on his right hand, gold with an engraved crest I can't make out from this distance. "So," he says, "you're writing a story about my family." "Yes." "And you thought the best approach was to request a sit-down like you're trying to negotiate a union contract?" "I thought the best approach was to ask for your perspective rather than rely solely on police reports and public records." How refreshingly civilized. His tone is mocking, but his expression doesn't change. Most journalists prefer to write their hit pieces from the safety of their offices, citing anonymous sources and leaked documents. You're either braver or dumber than your colleagues. I haven't decided which yet. "Maybe both," I admit. That gets a reaction. The tiniest twitch of his mouth that might be the beginning of a smile. "Maybe. What do you want to know?" I pull out my phone. "Do you mind if I record this?" "I do, actually." Then I'll take notes. I flip open the notebook I brought, click my pen. Let's start with the basics. The NYPD estimates that your organization controls approximately 60% of Brooklyn's shipping and logistics. Is that accurate? The NYPD estimates a lot of things. Most of them are wrong. So what's the real number? I own legitimate businesses, Ms. Harper. Caruso Enterprises has contracts with the city, with private companies, with unions. All of it legal, all of it documented, all of it taxed appropriately. If the NYPD wants to imagine criminal conspiracies behind standard business operations, that's their prerogative. I write that down. And Jimmy Delgado? The temperature in the room drops about 20 degrees. Cristiano's expression doesn't change, but something in his eyes does, a hardening, a warning. What about him? He was found dead in Red Hook 3 weeks ago, tortured before he was killed. The detective I spoke with said he was skimming from your operations. And you want me to confirm that I ordered his execution in a conversation that you've already tried to record? Cristiano leans forward slightly. Ms. Harper, I'm beginning to think you're more naive than brave. I'm not asking you to confess to murder. I'm asking you to comment on a man who worked for you and ended up dead. I don't know what you're talking about. I run legitimate businesses. I don't employ people like Jimmy Delgado, and I certainly don't concern myself with the criminal activities of individuals I've never met. It's a non-answer delivered with absolute confidence, and we both know it. But it's also a test. He's seeing if I'll push, if I'll cross the line from journalist to threat. I change tactics. What about the neighborhoods you operate in? Red Hook, Sunset Park, parts of Bensonhurst. Violent crime is down significantly in those areas over the past 5 years. Do you take credit for that? His expression shifts, not softening exactly, but becoming less hostile. Those neighborhoods are home to good people, families, people who work hard and deserve to feel safe when they walk home at night. If crime is down, it's because the community is invested in protecting itself. Through you? Through collective effort. But you fund youth programs. You've personally donated to 3 community centers. You show up at neighborhood events, church fundraisers. People speak your name with respect. And that bothers you? He's studying me now, and I feel like one of those architectural plans he was reviewing, something to be analyzed, measured, assessed for structural integrity. You want me to be a monster. It would make your story simpler. But the world isn't simple, Ms. Harper. I do what I do, and the people I care about are safer for it. That's all that matters. Even if what you do includes murder? I didn't say that. You didn't deny it either. I don't owe you denials. I don't owe you anything. He stands abruptly, and the meeting is clearly over. But since you came here in good faith, or stupidity, I'm still not sure, I'll give you some free advice. Be careful which stories you tell. Some narratives have consequences. Is that a threat? It's a fact. He nods to the man by the door. Tommaso will see you out. And Ms. Harper, don't come back here. You've had your interview. Be satisfied with it. I should leave it there. I should take my notes and walk out and write the most neutral, carefully worded story possible. But I've never been good at taking advice, even when it's clearly in my best interest. One more question, I say. Cristiano pauses halfway to the door. You're testing my patience. Why did you agree to see me? You don't do interviews. You don't comment to press. 3 other journalists tried to get meetings with you, and they were all refused. So why me? He's silent for a long moment, and in that silence, I become aware of how small the room is, how close he's standing, how the air feels charged with something I can't quite name. Because, he finally says, I wanted to see if you were as fearless as your writing suggests, and now I have my answer. Which is? You're not fearless. You're terrified. He's close enough now that I can smell his cologne, something expensive and woodsy with an undertone of smoke. But you're here anyway. That's either admirable or suicidal. Time will tell which. Then he's gone, disappearing through a different door, and Tommaso is gesturing for me to follow him back down the hallway. My legs are shaking as I stand, and my hands are trembling as I shove my notebook back into my bag. The entire meeting lasted maybe 15 minutes, but I feel like I've just run a marathon. Outside, the October air is shockingly cold, and I gulp it down like I've been underwater. My phone is buzzing with messages, my editor, Morrison, my roommate asking if I want Thai food, but I ignore all of them. Instead, I walk 3 blocks to the nearest subway station, ride the train back to my apartment in Crown Heights, and spend the next 4 hours trying to write about what just happened. But every time I try to capture it in words, I come back to the same moment. You're not fearless, you're terrified, but you're here anyway. He's right. I am terrified, and I'm going to write the story anyway. The story publishes on a Tuesday morning, and by noon, my inbox is on fire. My editor calls it explosive but fair, which in journalism terms means I didn't get sued in the first 6 hours. Morrison sends a 2-word text. You're insane. My mother, who still doesn't fully understand what I do for a living, forwards it to her book club with the subject line, "My daughter wrote this." And the Twitter reactions are mixed. Some people praise it as a nuanced look at organized crime in modern New York. Others accuse me of being a mob apologist. A few point out, correctly, that I didn't actually get Cristiano Caruso to admit to anything concrete, which makes it more of a profile than an exposé. But the clicks are through the roof, and my editor is already talking about a follow-up series. I try not to think about the last thing Cristiano said to me, be careful which stories you tell. Some narratives have consequences. I especially try not to think about it when I'm walking home from the subway that night and notice the black SUV parked across from my building. It's still there when I glance back from my apartment window, and it's definitely still there 2 hours later when I'm debating whether to order dinner or just eat cereal for the 3rd night in a row. My phone rings. Unknown number. I shouldn't answer. Every instinct says, don't answer. I answer, Ms. Harper. The voice is familiar. Tommaso, the man from Lombardi's. Mr. Caruso would like to see you. Tell Mr. Caruso I'm not interested in a follow-up interview. It's not a request. It's always a request. I'm a civilian. I don't work for him. The car outside your building says otherwise. You can walk down voluntarily or we can come up. Your choice, but make it quick. The line goes dead. I stand there for a full 30 seconds, phone still pressed to my ear, trying to decide if this is actually happening. Then I look out the window again, and this time I see Tommaso standing next to the SUV, phone in hand, looking directly up at my window. This is happening. I grab my jacket, my keys, my phone, and I seriously consider calling Morrison. But what would I say? A mobster is asking politely for me to get in his car, and I'm considering it? That's not a police matter. That's a Darwin Award waiting to happen. But I'm also a journalist, and every instinct I have says that whatever Cristiano Caruso wants to say to me badly enough to send a car, it's going to be important. Maybe dangerous, probably stupid, but definitely important. I go downstairs. Tommaso opens the car door without a word. The interior is black leather and tinted windows, and sitting in the back seat, looking exactly as composed as he did in Lombardi's, is Cristiano Caruso. Get in, he says. I get in. The door closes. The car starts moving. Where are we going? I ask. Somewhere we can talk without interruption. We could have talked on the phone. No, we couldn't have. He's wearing a different suit, charcoal gray this time, still no tie, and he's holding a tablet that I recognize with a sick feeling in my stomach. It's displaying my article. This was a mistake. The story? I quoted you accurately. I didn't embellish, Not the story. The meeting. I shouldn't have agreed to see you. Why not? He turns to look at me fully for the first time since I got in the car, and there's something in his expression I can't read. Because now, they think you matter to me. They who? People who want to hurt me, and the easiest way to hurt me is to hurt people He stops, recalibrates. People I've shown interest in. You met with me for 15 minutes. That's not interest, that's due diligence. In my world, 15 minutes is a courtship. He swipes to close the article. Did you notice the black sedan that followed you from the subway? My stomach drops. What? 2 men. They picked you up at the Atlantic Avenue station and tailed you for 6 blocks. Tommaso had to run interference to keep them from following you into your building. Who are they? Competitors. People who think that if you matter to me, you can be leveraged. They're wrong, but they don't know that yet. So tell them, call them, send a message, whatever you people do. Tell them I'm just a journalist who wrote a story. It doesn't work like that. The car turns onto the Brooklyn Bridge, and through the window I can see Manhattan glittering across the water. Once you're in the equation, you don't just get removed because it's inconvenient. You're a variable now, Sloan, and variables get eliminated. He used my first name. I noticed that. The shift from Ms. Harper to Sloan, the intimacy of it. So what are you saying? I need protection? I'm saying you need to disappear for a while, take a vacation, visit family, leave New York until this settles. I have a job, I have a life, I can't just… You can, and you will. His voice hardens. Because the alternative is that one of Vitelli's men decides you're an acceptable loss, and I find out about it when your body turns up in the Hudson. Vitelli? As in the Vitelli crime family? Yes, but they're allies. Morrison is repeating outdated information. The alliance fractured 3 months ago. We're in open conflict now, which means anything and anyone associated with me is a target. He leans forward, speaking to Tommaso. Take us to the safe house in Queens. Wait, no, I'm not going to a safe house, I'm going home. Your home is compromised. Then I'll go to a hotel. Hotels have records, paper trails. You need to be somewhere that doesn't exist on any database. The car is already moving deeper into Brooklyn, away from my neighborhood. I'm not giving you a choice in this, Sloan. You're coming with me, and you're staying somewhere safe until I neutralize the threat. You can't just kidnap me. I'm not kidnapping you. I'm protecting you from a problem I created. Same thing, not even close. But there's something in his voice, guilt maybe, or regret, that makes me look at him differently. He's not doing this because he wants to control me. He's doing it because he genuinely believes I'm in danger, which means I probably am. How long? I ask quietly. A week? Maybe 2. I have deadlines. I have an editor who will notice if I disappear. Tell her you're taking personal time, family emergency, whatever excuse works. And if I refuse? He's quiet for a long moment. Then I'll have Tommaso drop you at home and I'll assign protection to watch your building. But they won't be able to stop a professional hit, Sloan. They'll just die trying. Is that what you want? It's not a fair question. It's manipulation. Making me responsible for the safety of men I've never met, men who work for a criminal organization. But it's also true. If I refuse, people will die. Maybe including me. 1 week, I say. And I'm bringing my laptop. I have work to do. Fine. And I want to know everything. Who the Vitellis are, why they want to hurt you, what this war is actually about. That's not how this works. It is now. You made me a variable, Cristiano, which means I get to understand the equation. He looks at me for a long time, and I can see him calculating, weighing the risk of telling me against the benefit of compliance. Finally, he nods. 1 week? He agrees. And then you go back to your life, and we never speak again. Deal. But even as I say it, I know it's a lie. Because whatever this is, protection, kidnapping, the start of something neither of us wants to name, it's not going to end in a week. It's going to end in blood. The safe house is not what I expect. I was picturing something out of a crime movie, dingy apartment, boarded windows, maybe a mattress on the floor and a stockpile of weapons. Instead, Tommaso pulls up to a renovated brownstone in a quiet part of Astoria, complete with a small front garden and decorative shutters that look like they belong in a design magazine. This is the safe house? I ask skeptically. Appearances matter, Cristiano says, getting out of the car. The best way to hide is in plain sight. Inside, it's even more unexpected. Hardwood floors, modern furniture, a kitchen that would make my roommate weep with envy. There are books on the shelves, actual books, not just decorative spines, and art on the walls that looks original rather than mass-produced. It's a home, or at least a convincing replica of one. Upstairs, second door on the left, Cristiano tells me. That's your room, bathroom across the hall. Don't go near the windows, don't answer the door, don't order food delivery. Tommaso will bring supplies. And where will you be? Here, the office downstairs. I have work to do. You're staying here? Did you think I'd drop you off and leave? He raises an eyebrow. I said I'd protect you, Sloane. That means I stay until the threat is neutralized. So we're just living together? For a week? You're living here. I'm working. There's a difference. But there isn't. Not really. Because as I climb the stairs to the second floor, I can hear him in the office below, speaking rapid Italian into his phone, and I realize that for the next week, my life is completely entangled with his. The bedroom is simple but comfortable. Queen bed, dresser, window with blackout curtains already drawn. My bag is at the foot of the bed, which means someone went to my apartment and grabbed my things while I was in the car. The thought should terrify me, but instead, I'm just grateful that I have my laptop and a change of clothes. I spend the first hour trying to make sense of what just happened. I open my laptop, start typing notes about the car ride, the safe house, the way Cristiano's expression changed when he said they think you matter to me. But the words won't come together. Everything feels fragmented, surreal, like I'm writing a story that I'm also living. Around midnight, I give up and go downstairs to find food. The kitchen light is on. Cristiano is standing at the stove, cooking something that smells incredible. Garlic, tomatoes, basil. He's taken off his suit jacket, rolled up his sleeves, and for the first time since I met him, he looks almost normal. You're still awake, he observes. So are you. I don't sleep much. He stirs whatever's in the pan, then reaches for a bottle of wine on the counter. Hungry? Starving. Good. Sit. I sit at the kitchen island, watching as he plates pasta with the kind of casual competence that speaks to years of practice. He pours 2 glasses of wine, slides one across to me, and brings the plates over. You cook, I say. My mother insisted. She said a man who can't feed himself is a man who can't be trusted. He takes a bite, watching my reaction as I taste the pasta. What do you think? It's perfect. Al dente, sauce bright with fresh tomatoes, just enough heat from red pepper flakes. It's good. Just good? It's really good. Happy? Moderately. He sips his wine, and for a moment we just eat in silence. Then, you want to know about the Vitellis? It's not a question. Yes. My father and Sal Vitelli were friends, partners. They ran the waterfront together for 30 years. My family handled shipping, his handled distribution. It worked because they trusted each other. And then your father died. 2 years ago, heart attack. He was 63. Cristiano's voice is neutral, but there's pain underneath it. Sal came to the funeral, gave the eulogy, swore to honor the alliance. 6 months later, he tried to take over 3 of our contracts. Why? Because he saw weakness. I was young, am young by his standards. 38, never wanted this life, only took over because there was no one else. He thought I'd fold. But you didn't. No, I fought back. We've been bleeding each other dry for the past 18 months. He refills his wine glass. And now he thinks you're leverage. Because you met with me. Because I met with you, and then I read your story, and then I sent a car to your apartment at 9 p.m. In his eyes, that's a pattern. That's interest. But it's not. He looks at me then, really looks at me, and there's something in his expression that makes my breath catch. Isn't it? The air between us shifts, charges with something electric and dangerous and undeniable. I should say no. I should laugh it off, make a joke, re-establish the boundaries that are already blurring. But I don't. I don't know, I admit. Neither do I. He stands abruptly, takes his plate to the sink. Get some sleep, Sloane. Tomorrow we plan how to end this. I want to ask what this means, the war with the Vitellis or whatever is happening between us. But he's already gone, disappearing into the office downstairs, and I'm left alone in the kitchen with half a glass of wine and the unsettling realization that I'm not as afraid as I should be. I'm not afraid at all. The next 3 days blur together in a strange domesticity that feels nothing like captivity. Cristiano works from the office, calls in Italian, meetings over encrypted video, an entire criminal empire run from a brownstone in Queens. I write articles, notes, the beginning of what might become a book if I survive long enough to finish it. We orbit each other carefully, speaking only when necessary, maintaining a distance that feels increasingly difficult to sustain. But there are moments. On the second night, I come downstairs at 2 a.m. and find him on the couch, staring at nothing. He doesn't hear me approach, and for the first time I see the exhaustion in his face, the weight of everything he carries. I almost go back upstairs. Instead, I sit down next to him. "Can't sleep?" I ask. "Never could." He glances at me. "You?" I keep thinking about the story, the one I should be writing about all of this. "Are you?" Writing it? No. Living it, apparently. He almost smiles. That's the thing about stories, Sloane. Sometimes you have to finish living them before you can write them. And what if the ending isn't what I want? Then you change it. Can you do that? Change the ending? I don't know. I've never tried. We sit there in the dark, not touching, not speaking, and somehow it's the most intimate thing I've experienced in years. On the third day, Tommaso brings news. Sal Vitelli wants a sit-down. Neutral ground, 3 people per side, no weapons. It's a trap. Everyone knows it's a trap, but it's also an opportunity. "I'm going," Cristiano says. "Then I'm going with you," I counter. "Absolutely not. You said I'm leverage. That means I'm already part of this. Let me hear what he has to say." "So he can see exactly how much you matter? That's suicide. Or it's a power play. You bring me. You show him I'm not afraid. You demonstrate control." I'm making this up as I go, but it sounds plausible. And maybe I get another story out of it. "You're insane. You've mentioned that before." He stares at me for a long moment, and I can see him calculating risks, weighing options. Finally, "If you come, you don't speak. You don't react. You're a ghost. Deal. And if things go wrong, you run. You don't wait for me. You don't try to help. You run and you keep running until Tommaso gets you somewhere safe. Cristiano, promise me, Sloane." The use of my name, the urgency in his voice, it breaks something in me. "I promise." Liar. Probably. This time, he does smile, and it transforms his entire face, makes him look younger, almost boyish. "You're going to get us both killed." Maybe, but at least it'll be an interesting story. The meeting is set for a warehouse in Red Hook, the same neighborhood where Jimmy Delgado's body was found, which feels ominous but probably isn't coincidental. We arrive after dark, Cristiano and Tommaso and 2 other men whose names I don't learn. And me, dressed in black like I'm attending a funeral, which I very well might be. The warehouse is massive and mostly empty. Rusted machinery, broken windows, the smell of salt water and decay. Sal Vitelli is already there with his people, 3 men in expensive suits who look like they stepped out of a Scorsese film. And Sal himself, 70 if he's a day, white hair, cold eyes, the kind of man who's seen and done everything. "Cristiano." His voice is gravelly. "You brought a guest." "Sloane Harper, the journalist you're so interested in." Sal's eyes flicker to me, assessing. "The one who wrote the story. I read it. Flattering portrait." "It was accurate," I say, breaking my promise to stay silent immediately. Cristiano's hand twitches, but he doesn't tell me to shut up. Instead, he watches Sal's reaction. "Accurate," Sal repeats. "Is that what you call it when you make a monster look noble?" "I call it journalism. I report what I see." "And what do you see now, Ms. Harper? A young man playing at power, surrounded by people he'll get killed? Or do you see something else?" I meet his gaze steadily. I see 2 men who could end this war with a conversation, but won't because pride matters more than peace. The warehouse goes silent. Cristiano's hand is definitely on my arm now, a warning, but Sal is staring at me with something that might be respect. Pride, he says slowly. You think this is about pride, isn't it? Your friend died, his son took over, you tested him, he pushed back. Now you're locked in a conflict neither of you can win cleanly. That's not strategy, that's ego. Sloane, Cristiano says quietly, stop talking. But Sal laughs. A genuine, surprised sound. She's got fire. I like her. She's also right, Cristiano says, and everyone looks at him in shock. This is ego, yours and mine. My father would be ashamed of what we've become. Your father was a great man. Then honor him. End this. Sal is quiet for a long time. Then, your contracts. The 3 I took, you can have them back, but I want the union deal in Sunset Park. Half of it. 2/3. Deal. They shake hands, and just like that, a war that's killed a dozen people and cost millions of dollars is over. The other men look stunned. Tommaso is openly staring, and I'm trying very hard not to collapse from the adrenaline crash. Ms. Harper, Sal says as we're leaving, you ever get tired of writing about criminals? Come work for me. I could use someone with your spine. I'll keep that in mind, I manage. In the car, no one speaks for 5 minutes. Then Cristiano turns to me. What the hell was that? That was me breaking your no-talking rule. You could have gotten us killed. But I didn't. I got you peace. You got lucky. Maybe, or maybe I saw something you couldn't because you were too close to it. I'm shaking now, the fear finally catching up. He respected you, Cristiano. He just needed permission to stop fighting, and I gave it to him. By pointing out our mutual stupidity. Exactly. He's silent for another moment. Then, thank you. You're welcome. Don't ever do it again. No promises. This time when he looks at me, there's something new in his expression. Admiration, maybe, or the beginning of something deeper. And when his hand covers mine on the seat between us, I don't pull away. We return to the safe house and everything has changed. The war is over. The threat is neutralized, which means I can go home. I should want to go home. Instead, I'm standing in the kitchen while Cristiano pours wine, and neither of us is saying what we're both thinking. You'll want to get back to your life, he says finally. Probably. Tommaso can drive you whenever you're ready. Okay. Or you could stay. Tonight. Just tonight. I should say no. Every rational part of my brain is screaming no. This man is a criminal. I'm a journalist. There is no universe in which this ends well. But I'm also standing close enough to feel the heat of him, and his eyes are asking a question that has nothing to do with safety or protection or journalism. One night, I whisper. He moves closer, slowly, giving me time to change my mind. His hand comes up to cup my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone, and the touch is so gentle it breaks my heart. Tell me to stop, he says. I can't. Sloane, I can't. He kisses me then, and it's nothing like I imagined. It's soft and careful and devastating, like he's memorizing the taste of me, the shape of my mouth, the way I breathe his name between kisses. His hands slide into my hair, and mine grip his shirt, and somewhere in the back of my mind, I know this is a mistake. But I don't care. We make it upstairs. Barely. Clothes shed like armor, skin against skin, his mouth on my throat and my hands learning the geography of scars I saw but never understood. He's careful with me. Too careful. Like I'm something fragile he's afraid to break. I'm not glass, I tell him. I know. But his touch stays reverent, worshipful, and when he moves above me, inside me, the intensity in his eyes is almost too much to bear. Afterward, we lie tangled together, his heartbeat steadying under my palm, and I know this changes everything. What happens now? I ask. I don't know. Cristiano, I don't know, Sloane. This doesn't happen in my world. People like me don't get this. Get what? You. He pulls me closer, presses a kiss to my hair. But you're here, and I'm not letting you go. Not yet. Not yet, I agree. But we both know not yet means not ever. 3 weeks later, I'm back in my apartment writing the follow-up story my editor demanded. But it's not the story she expects. It's not about the Caruso family's criminal operations or the peace treaty with the Vitellis. It's about the spaces between, the gray areas where morality blurs, where dangerous men do terrible things for reasons that are sometimes almost noble. And it's about the woman who fell for one of them despite every instinct telling her to run. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Dinner? 8 p.m. You know where. I do know where. Lombardi's. The private room in the back where this all started. I should say no. I should delete the message, block the number, move on with my life, write my story, advance my career, pretend the past month never happened. Instead, I type back, I'll be there. Because the truth is, I'm not afraid anymore. Not of him, not of his world, not of the consequences. I walked into his life because I wanted a story. I stayed because I wanted him. And whatever happens next, whether it's love or disaster or some dangerous combination of both, I'm choosing it willingly. I arrive at Lombardi's at 7:55 p.m. Tommaso opens the door like he's expecting me. Ms. Harper. He's waiting. I know. The private room looks the same. Same table, same chandelier, same wine-colored walls. But Cristiano is different. He's wearing jeans and a white shirt, no suit, and when he sees me, his entire face transforms. You came, he says. Did you think I wouldn't? I hoped you would. That's different. Well, here I am. Here you are. He crosses the room, takes my hands in his. I have something to tell you. Okay. The war with the Vitellis, it wasn't about contracts, not really. My stomach drops. What was it about? You. What? Sal Vitelli has a granddaughter, 25, beautiful, educated. He wanted a marriage alliance, wanted to unite our families through her. And you said no. I said no. 3 months before I met you. That's when the war started. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't understand it myself until that night in the warehouse, when you stood there and called us both idiots for fighting over pride. He pulls me closer. It wasn't pride, Sloane. It was you. I turned down his granddaughter because I was waiting for something I couldn't name. And then you walked into Lombardi's, terrified and brave and asking questions no one else had the guts to ask. Cristiano, I'm not done. The whole war, every person who died, every risk I took, it was because I couldn't give him what he wanted. Because somewhere in my subconscious I knew you were coming. And he knew it too. That's why he was so interested when you wrote that story. He saw the same thing I did. Which is? That you're mine and I'm yours, and nothing else matters. I'm crying now, and I'm not sure when that started. That's insane. Probably. People died because you were waiting for me? People died because Sal tried to force my hand, but yes, in a way. I'm just a journalist. I'm nobody. You're everything. His thumbs wipe away my tears. And I know this is fast, and I know it's dangerous, and I know you have every reason to walk away, but I'm asking you not to. I'm asking you to stay, to choose this, to choose me. For how long? Forever. If you'll have me. I should say no. Every logical part of my brain is begging me to say no, but I've never been good at taking the safe path. Yes, I whisper. He kisses me like it's the first time and the last time, like he's pouring every unsaid word into the connection between us, and when we finally break apart, both of us breathing hard, he smiles. There's one more thing. What? Sal Vitelli is sending his granddaughter to Milan, called off the entire marriage proposal, said he realized forcing love is like forcing peace. It never works. You're kidding. I'm not. He called this morning, said to thank you for the lesson in the warehouse. So, it's really over. It's really over. And now we figure out what comes next. Together. Together. I agree. And for the first time in weeks, maybe years, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. 6 months later, I publish a book. It's called The In-Between, and it's about the gray spaces in morality, the complexity of human nature, the way love can bloom in the darkest soil. My editor calls it career-defining. My mother calls it concerning, but buys 50 copies anyway, and Cristiano reads it in one sitting, then looks at me with tears in his eyes. "You told our story," he says. "I told a story, fictionalized, changed names, but it's us. It's us." He pulls me into his arms, and I breathe in the scent of him, familiar now. Home. We're living in the brownstone in Queens, the safe house that became something more. Tommaso still brings groceries every week, but now he also brings my mail and asks about my deadlines. The office downstairs still runs an empire, but now it also houses my desk and my chaos and our shared life. It's not perfect. There are still dangers, still threats, still moments when I remember what he is and what I've chosen. But there are also mornings like this, coffee and sunlight and his arms around me, and those moments matter more. "I love you," he says. "I love you too." Even though I'm a criminal? Because you're you. The criminal part is just flavor. He laughs, and the sound fills the house. Flavor. I'll take it. Good, because you're stuck with me now. Promise? Promise. And in that moment, in that promise, I understand what he's been trying to tell me all along. Love isn't about safety or logic or choosing the right path. Love is about choosing each other, again and again, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. The war was never about territory or contracts or alliances. It was about me, about us, about finding the one person in the world who sees all of you, the darkness and the light, and chooses to stay anyway. He chose me, and I chose him. Everything else is just the story we're writing together, one dangerous, beautiful, impossible chapter at a time.